Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
March 30, 2021, the Email Anxiety Edition. And we begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal about the anxiety and stress email is for people at work and perhaps what you can do with it. Email, that most workaday form of electronic communication, is more important than ever with so many people working remotely. Unfortunately, it has the power to freak people out in 1,000 different ways. With your life on overdrive, mustering up the emotional fortitude for the perfect response can sometimes feel stressful. One person said, quote, "The more systems I have running in my brain, the less I feel like I have hard space up there." So what can you do? Well, you can take some time out. You can go in and delete. And of course, try gratitude. Have some go-to lines. So trying gratitude. This email really made my day. Go back to basics. Use simple phrases that can be powerful, like thank you and please. Be concise. If you're starting a third long paragraph, consider picking up the phone. So the bane of many existence, email. Next up, from the U.S. News and World Report, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced that all ANC members charged with corruption must step aside or face suspension. Allegations of corruption against the party, including several very powerful figures, have deepened fault lines within the party. In December, the ANC Integrity Commission recommended that a high official step aside pending the outcome of his corruption case, which he refused to do. This led Ramaphosa to make his recent statement. Of course, the pudding is in the pie, and he has to enforce this as well, but it would certainly be a welcome first step from the greater compliance community. Next up from the BBC, and a somewhat troubling story with perhaps a better ending, EY drops its appeal of a $10.8 million whistleblower payment against a former partner. A BBC investigation revealed EY covered up evidence of smuggling by an organized crime ring, but EY didn't report suspicious activity to money laundering authorities, as was its duty. EY also helped to cover up the crime. Ahmad Amjad Rehan pressed his bosses and reported red flags, such as large amounts of cash paid out in gold bars disguised as silver, but he was forced out. In a judgment at the trial court, the judge criticized Mark Adi, the then managing partner for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, to whom Rehan reported his concerns and who sat on EY's global executive and took charge with dealing with that. He engaged in questionable professional ethics, according to the judge, and although he's still a part of the EY organization, and he demonstrated clear non-truthfulness to the court. So a huge black eye for EY. It's unclear what, if any, criminal liability or charges they faced for their part in hiding this from UK authorities. And finally, Myanmar. If you are doing business with them, you're probably in a world of trouble about now, as the U.S. suspended a trade pact, and I would expect that sanctions are on the way. So if you're an export control lawyer, keep your eye on this one. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.